You're listening to the Time to Level Up podcast. I'm your host, business life coach Andrea Liebross. I help women in business commit to their own growth personally and professionally. Each week, I'll bring you strategies to help you think clearly, gain confidence, make your time productive, turn every obstacle into an opportunity, and finally overcome the overwhelm so that you can make money and manage life. Let's create a plan so you have a profitable business, successful career, and best of all, live with unapologetic ambition. Are you ready to drop the drama and figure out the how in order to reach your goals? You're in the right place. It's time to level up. Let's do this. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Time to Level Up podcast. I am glad to have you back. And if you're listening to this when it first released, it's the middle of January 2022. How is 2022 going for you? Are you still looking at your goals? Are you still committed to them? Have you decided that you're going to make them come true, or are you just interested in making them come true? So this month inside my coaching program, we are talking all about decisions. And I am focusing the podcast this month on decisions, making confident decisions. Because that, my friends, is the root of all progress. I want you to think about this. What decision have you made that has not led to you growing somehow? Even if that growth is in the form of learning what doesn't work or what didn't pan out the way you wanted it to. Making decisions always creates growth. Now, most of the time, it's a yes decision that creates the growth, but a no decision can create growth too because it allows you to create brain space to potentially do something else. We never hear anyone say, I wish I had taken more time to make the decision. Have you heard anyone say that recently? I wish I had taken more time to make the decision. No, I haven't heard anyone say that either. In fact, what I've heard are people saying, I wish I had decided sooner, or I should have started that a long time ago. Why did I wait so long? Why did I wait so long? Right? Because I think there actually is some research out there that says 99% of the time, what you decide is what you thought of in the beginning. Whatever your initial gut instinct was as to which way the decision should go, that's the way you end up going. It is only when you give yourself more time to think, quote unquote, about it, does your brain do what it's supposed to do, and that is keep you safe. Your brain isn't about growth, to be honest. That's why some of this work is very hard, and it's actually work. Your brain wants to be comfy. Doesn't want to create growth. So think about this. When was the last time you said, oh, I wish I had taken a long time to make that decision? I'm going to go with never. Never. And you know what? I've seen this in my own business. The people who decide that they are a yes to coaching, what I would consider quickly or in the moment, are the ones that see the most growth. The hemmer or hars, the stragglers, okay, even the stalkers, if they've been stalking for a long time, they may schedule a call with me because they're interested, but they're not committed because they are actually giving themselves all the opportunity in the world to talk themselves out of it. They are not giving themselves the opportunity to make a decision and start growing. Okay, so that was me on my little soapbox. But now we're going to get into the meat of what we're talking about today. So last week we talked about why you don't make decisions and why you should make decisions. And today we're going to talk about how do we actually decide. Now, I will tell you that today my voice is not 100%. Okay, but I had decided yesterday that I was going to record these podcasts today. And there were lots of times this morning when I thought, I don't feel like it. I don't know if I'm up to it. And I could have backed out. But I decided yesterday ahead of time that this is what I was doing today. And I am honoring that decision. And I am happy that I am, because I get to create this amazing content for you. And I get to use my time next week doing something even better for you. Today, I'm doing the podcast for you. So the question that you probably are thinking is, yeah, but how do I get out of confusion and make a decision? And I'm going to give you some guidelines. I'm going to give you, let's see, how many things am I going to give you? I'm going to give you 9. I'm going to give you 9 ways in which to make a decision. You ready? Okay. Here's the first way. And as we're going through this, think about a decision that you've been debating, hemming and hawing. You've been on the fence. Okay? Now, this first one, it may seem like, Andrea, I can't believe you're saying it, but it's true. Number 1, how to make a decision is I want you to consider everything. And this is what I mean. A lot of times when we are making a decision, we have self-imposed limitations on it. Sometimes in the coaching world, you hear this as limiting beliefs. So someone might say, I can't decide whether or not I should call them right back now or later. As if they are considering all of the options. It's either call them back now or later, or here's another option that they haven't considered. Maybe you just don't call them back at all. So in reality, there are many different options for any decision. And when you only give yourself 2, you're not giving yourself all of the options. I want you to step back a minute and consider this. Would you choose to call them back now if there was no history, if there was no past? Would you consider calling them back later if there was no history or no past? Would you consider not calling them back at all if there was no history or past? So what are all the possibilities? When I first started coaching, I told people I was a possibilities coach. And really, ultimately, that is what I'm doing. I am helping people figure out what the possibilities are. So if you were starting brand new, no past history, would you choose whatever it is that is the status quo? Okay, so for example, if you had no history and you were deciding whether or not you should leave a job or not, I want you to redecide the first place, have taken the job or not. If you're deciding whether or not you should keep an employee or not, I want to ask yourself, would you have hired this person again? Would you marry this person again? Would you buy this house again? Would you spend this money again? We often bring the past into the decision making, and that sometimes can create some limiting beliefs like, no, this will never happen. It never has. Or, I don't know why this would be a good decision this time because it never has been a good decision in the past. Okay? Whatever it is, consider all the options and ask yourself, would I choose this as the decision now if I removed the history bias? And a lot of us just kind of say, well, I mean, I've been doing it for so long. And that might not be the reason that you want for choosing something in the future. Remember, when you make a decision, you want to make sure You like the reason for choosing whatever you're choosing, not because what has happened in the past. You want to like your reason for choosing what you're choosing now, not because of what has happened in the past. You usually don't even like the past. So why do you want to recreate history? So sometimes when people say to me, oh, I've decided that I'm just not going to move forward with coaching right now. And I say, well, do you like that decision? They say, well, I just think it's the smartest decision right now. Of course you think it's the smartest decision right now because you have never made the decision to move forward with coaching. Your brain doesn't know what the possibilities are. Your brain only knows, and so therefore it's smart, it only knows what it's like to exist without coaching. See how that works? It's so interesting. Our brain is like playing tricks on us. So I want you to consider all of the possibilities. Okay? Which leads me to number 2. Imagine that both of your decisions, a yes or a no, would turn out amazing. That you would succeed at both of them. If it's a yes and you'd succeed, and if it's a no and you'd succeed, which one would you choose? So one of the reasons why some of us don't choose one option over the other or don't make the decision is because we've played it out and we've already anticipated failure. We've already anticipated that we won't know how to do something, or we won't have the resources to do it, or we've succumbed to our own doubt about something. And what I want you to do is when you're making a decision, I want you to try to decide between one thing or the other, with the thought that both options will turn out amazing. If I stay married, the marriage turns out amazing because I make it amazing. If I leave, my life is amazing because I make it amazing. So knowing that either way, I could have an amazing life, which one would I choose? It clears up the decision making so quickly. Like, think about it if you're trying to think about, should I stay in this job? What if you stayed and it was amazing? And what if you left and it was amazing? It makes it really clear. Which one would I choose then? So, number 3 brings me to number 3. What if failure was no big deal? What if you're just winning or learning? There's no losing. What if you're either winning or learning? What if it didn't matter if you failed at it or it didn't turn out as you envisioned? What if it didn't matter if you failed at trying something or quitting something or moving on to something or adding something into your life? Would you do it if failure didn't matter? Now, here's the truth. Failure is really just brought on by the way you think about something. If you're only winning or learning, failure isn't an option. There really is no failure. Nothing is a failure. It's either winning or learning. And there's only a thought that can create the feeling of failure. So when you take out of your tray of thoughts the optional thought that this could fail, which one would you do? When you take out the thought that failure ruins everything and that you could fail, then which option would you choose? Pretty interesting, right? All right, so number 4, I want you to use this as a way to decide. What if you said yes to both things? So we turned this decision not into an either or, but to an and. A lot of times when we're making a decision, we sometimes think if we say yes to one option, we're saying no to the other. And sometimes we don't really want to say no to the other. And so we don't make a decision. We just stay in limbo. But what if you could say yes to both things? It might be a timing thing. It might be a resources thing. But what if you could say yes to both options? Like when I was deciding to start this business, I thought, should I leave my job to start my own business? Well, what if? And then I thought, well, what if I could keep my job and start the business at the same time? And that's kind of what I did. What if you could have both? Would you choose both instead of saying yes to one and no to the other? I always want you to consider that you don't have to make a decision. And you can really make a decision to have both things that you're trying to decide between. I call this the and rule, not the either or rule. Okay. And this and rule is also helping you think about all of the possibilities, which leads me to number 5. Now, number 5 is something you've probably heard me talk about before, and it is your future self. So I want you to go to that future self to help you make the decision now and in the present. So I kind of sometimes imagine my life 10 years from now. 10 years from now, maybe I'll be a grandma. I'll probably live in a different house. My business could look differently. My husband's in a different stage in his career. And what would that future self tell me to do right now when I'm making the big decisions in my life right now? I always ask my future self, what should I do and why? Because if I ask myself, my present self, the answer is going to be just stay right where you are because it's safe here. It's comfortable. You understand what's happening right now. But my future self, it always seems to know exactly what to do. Okay? That future self always has the best answers. It always has the answers that get me excited. Who doesn't think about the future and not get excited? 99% of the time when we think about the future, we get excited. There's a reason, because we've created what we want in the future. And we need to make decisions now to create what we want in the future. So I just coached someone recently, and they couldn't decide whether or not to start to try to have kids. And I said to them, well, how much longer are you going to be deciding whether or not now's the time to start trying to have kids? There is zero risk in making the decision. The only risk you have is in the decision, in making the decision. There's no risk in the decision, right? So give yourself till the end of the week and then decide if you're going to do it or not do it, if you're going to start or not start. Now, if that feels scary to you, you're doing it right. It's okay to be afraid. Making decisions is what propels us forward. It's what makes us grow. And that's why some people don't even want to make the decision, because they don't want to propel forward. They don't want to put themselves in the position of growth. Again, sounds good. They're interested, but they're not committed. Making the decision based on your future self, it always increases our action and our growth and our confidence, and it saves us time. We talked a little bit about that in the last episode. If you haven't listened to it, you might want to go back and do that. Episode 60. So here's number 6 reason of how to decide. What if the question you were asking yourself is, what would love do? As if love were a person. And this is really hard to explain why it works so well, because it's really based on that feeling. And remember, our decisions, which are actions, are based on feelings. But the question, what would love do, works for every single decision I've made. I always want to do what love would do in every situation. And love sometimes means I say no. And love sometimes means I say yes. And love sometimes means I leave. And love sometimes means I stay. So think about that when you're deciding what would love do. Now, this is an easy question when it comes to parenting or relationships. Asking ourselves what love would do is a fabulous way to help you decide how to act or what to do in a relationship or with your kids. But I want you to ask yourself when you're making decisions for yourself, what would love do? Would love tell me to, yes, put on my shoes and go work out? Or would love tell me to stay on the couch? Would love tell me to invest in people to help me in my business? Or would love tell me to keep doing everything on my own without help? Right? What would love do? It makes everything so clear. All right, number 7. Here's the next question that you can ask yourself to help yourself decide. Who do I want to be? Or sometimes I like to say, how do you want to show up? So let's just stick with who do you want to be as number 7. Now, fearful is not a reason to do something. Okay? In fact, most of the things we're doing when we make decisions, we're going to be a little afraid to do. And discomfort is not a good reason to do it. But yet, discomfort is kind of the currency to getting what you want out of life. Okay, sometimes I say discomfort is the currency of success. So there's discomfort along the way. Okay, so if you ask yourself, who do I want to be? Do I want to be someone that's uncomfortable? The answer is no. I don't want to be someone who is uncomfortable. But I do want to use that discomfort as a means of growth. It's kind of like the currency of success. Okay, so ask yourself, who do I want to be? Do I want to be the scared person stuck? Or do I want to be the one that's okay with being uncomfortable for a little while I grow? Which kind of brings me to number 8. How do I want to show up? This is a famous question of mine. How do I want to show up? Do I want to show up having made the decision or not? Do I want to show up having made X decision or Y decision? You get to decide how you want to show up and what you want to be and who you want to be in every situation. So I like to say you've got a Santa sack that you're carrying over your shoulder. You can either carry a huge, big Santa stack of doubt and regret and fear and confusion into the party, or you can carry a Santa sack full of confidence and action and new learning and decisions and choices that align with who you want to be. What do you want in your Santa sack? How do you want to show up? That was number 8. And then number 9, which is another famous question I ask my clients all the time. In helping you decide, I want you to ask yourself, what's the worst thing that could happen? What's the worst thing that can happen? What is the worst thing that can happen? And usually that worst thing that can happen is not worse than it is now. Okay, now I want you to kind of think about this. Maybe I'm going to use money as an example. If you're debating on whether or not you should spend money on something that will help create growth, and I'm not talking about like a new TV, I'm talking about something for you. And you say, yeah, but if I do this, I could go into debt. Okay, it's a possibility. But even if you went into debt, you would learn how to get out of it. And that, my friends, is amazing in and of itself. That skill. So the worst thing that can happen is usually not worse than where you are right now. Because think about this. The worst case scenario is missing out on the best case scenario. You're not even in the game if you are stuck where you are now. The worst case scenario is never, ever worse than it is right now. Because the worst case scenario doesn't even allow for there to be the possibility of the best case scenario. So that is how I'm going to leave you today. So I'm going to review the 9 things or 9 questions that I want you to ask yourself when you are trying to decide. Number 1, have I considered everything? Have I considered all the possibilities? All of them. Number 2, what if both of these decisions turn out amazing? Which one would I choose? Number 3, what if failure is no big deal? What if I'm just winning or learning? Number 4, what if I say yes to both options and make it an and, not an either or? What if I say yes to both options? Number 5, what would my future self tell my today self to do? Number 6, what would love do? Number 7, who do I want to be? What do I want to feel? Number 8, how do I want to show up? And number 9, what's the worst thing that could happen? Okay, my friends, that is today's podcast. If this skill, and it truly is a skill of deciding, is something that you want to get good at, you want to take the learning we had today and 10x it. 10x. I would love to help you do that. So, who is your coach? If you don't have a coach, I would be honored to be your coach in 2022. And together, we will both grow. I will help you become an amazing decision maker. And you, in turn, will help the world. You will have more goodness to put out into the world. And that includes all aspects of your life. So, are you ready to level up in 2022? If you are ready to level up, I encourage you to head to my website and apply for coaching. Do it now so you can join us in February for our next topic of the month, which is worthiness. Do it now. You can even get started right away, not even wait till February. You can start today. We have resources inside my coaching program that you can dig into today to start helping you make better decisions. Next week, we're going to talk about making decisions from a place of abundance. That word's way overused, but I think it's a good one. How can you make decisions from a place of abundance, not scarcity? All right. Have a great week. And remember, this is your time to level up. There is no better time. What would your future self tell you to do? See you next week. Thanks for listening to the Time to Level Up podcast with me, your host, Andrea Liebross. If you know someone who could benefit from listening to this episode, I encourage you to take a screenshot and share it with them. Okay, now what about you? You've listened to the podcast, and if you now know that you're ready to upgrade your life, upgrade your business, upgrade you, then stop being only a listener and start being a liver, living that upgraded life. Head over to my website and schedule a call. Right there on that call, we'll start changing the way you think and act so that you can have the freedom to achieve the impossible in life and business and have the resources to do it. You deserve an upgrade. Let's do it.